on the cello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So that we can use the markings, we can use the tape as training wheels for our fingers, so that we can know where to put our fingers, right? Because in case you hadn't noticed, we do not have frets on our cello, so we kind of need to know where to place our fingers when you're starting to play cello. So what you need, of course, is your bow. You need tape, a pencil, scissors, and a tuning up, or your tuner, whatever you use for tuning. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just open my tuning app. Okay, I like to put my phone there, and what I want to do is look for D on my C string, so I'm gonna try and find it. Okay, so I just found it. Just make sure it's right in tune, it's completely in tune. So remember to really press down on your string for it to produce a nice good sound, because if you don't press down, that's the sound you get, which is not a really good sound. So you want to really press down on your have my D, and I'll take my pencil and I'll just mark it out. So make sure you make a nice good thick mark, because our fingers are thick, right? So I've marked it, and do the same for the rest of the strings across. So I'll look for an A on the G string. Ideally they should all be in a straight line, so I'm just going to mark it out real nice, and then ideally, if you're doing this correct, they should all be on a straight line. However, different cellos behave differently. It could be affected by how your bridge has been shaped. So on the D string, I'm looking for an E. They're all right there on the same line, and so on the A, can you notice how I'm sliding down? On the A string, I'm looking for a B. So again, remember to press down. There we go. And then I'll mark that out with a pencil. So they're nice and thick lines. Like so. So ideally, this is where your first finger should go. So I should have mentioned this. In cello, we have a thumb, finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, and finger 4. Or open 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We do not have 5 fingers. We have a thumb and 4 fingers. So applies to your right hand as well. So our first finger usually goes here, and then we use our third finger and then our fourth finger. So now I'll put my first finger and just relax the normal spaces that you normally have. I'll try and press with my third finger and see if I'm going to get an E right there. So I'm going to try and find the tuning, the proper tuning for that one. And I'll mark it out. You can use your first finger at this point, because if you're not comfortable yet. I'm looking for a B on string G. Again, they should all be ideally on the same line. There we go. Make sure it's completely in tune before you mark out your cello. There we go. And then I'm looking for an F sharp on string D or G flat. It's in tune, so it's gonna be, you're gonna mark it out real fast, because ideally, again, it should be on a straight line. If it's not on a straight line, then you might so on string A, or you might want to get your bridge checked if it's properly shaped. On string A, we're looking for a C sharp or a D flat, and that one is in tune, so I'm just gonna mark it. Nice and thick, and then I'll just put my fourth finger and we'll mark my fourth finger. So you can mark all the 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers if you like, but I like marking 1, 3, 4. So I'm just gonna mark my fourth finger. And what you're looking for is a D, an in tune D. So you can even try and find it with your first finger if you like. Now my D is never on this cello. It's actually usually quite farther than the rest of my strings. So they're not actually in the straight line for my cello. So again, like I said, different cellos behave differently. On string D, we're looking for a G. There we go. I'll just check my D again. I didn't mark it properly. Okay, and then on string G, we are looking for a C. So I'll try and find it. There we are. It's right there. The same kind of straight line I'm talking about. I will show you this marking so you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And then finally on string C, we're looking for an F. Okay? I'm just going to mark with my pencil real quick. And so I'm going to show you this pencil markings, how it should essentially look like at the end of it. There we go. So let me show you how they look like. Okay, so as you can see, I've marked I have 3 lines. So you're probably wondering why this space is big. Like I had earlier mentioned, this is where your second finger would go, right in the middle. So if you want to mark your second finger, feel free, it should be the same. Essentially, they should all be equal spaces, but I just prefer having the 3 marks instead. So what we'll do is you can get either tape or stickers or page flags sometimes work. So if you're using a page flag, you'd probably have to put it in here and then put another page flag from this side on the lines, or your stickers like so, and then cut the extra tape. But I don't find page flags as effective. However, so I like using black tape because it kind of camouflages with a fingerboard. And so what I'll do is I'll cut out my tape into nice thin pieces that can go around the neck. So I need 3 of these. So I have a nice size here. So what I'll do is I'll hold it with both my hands and pass it through and just tape it on top of the lines like so. If you happen to cut extra tape, it's okay. That's why we have our scissors with us, so you can cut the extra tape. So I'm gonna need more tape. Okay. Oh, this is a short one. I needed a longer one because, as you can see, oh, there it goes in the second line, like so. And then my final one, I'll make this slightly longer because at this point it keeps getting thicker. Yeah, I'm just gonna make this longer than the previous ones that I've cut out. So I'm not cutting them equal, really. You just need tape to use as training wheels to start playing cello. Okay, this is my last one. So I'm gonna hold it. There we go, and we're marked. We have our markings going on, and we can start playing. There you go. You can just take a nice look. Once you're done marking, we can now start with our left hand. So we've kind of mentioned where your fingers go, but I'll repeat it. So where your first tape is where your first finger go. Right in the middle of the first tape and the second tape is where your second finger goes, and then on the second tape is where your third finger goes, and then that's where your pinky goes on the last tape. So ideally you have 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4, right? So try that on all the strings. Okay, so you're probably wondering, where does your thumb go? Now your thumb goes right here in the middle of the first and second finger. If you find this difficult to do, I would encourage you to aim for your second finger. However, I find it to be more accurate if you're aiming right in the middle of the first and second finger. Okay, and then you kind of want to aim for a letter C. So a letter C, that's what you should be able to see at the back of your, I'm going to just show you this real quick. At the back of your cello, you should be able to see a letter C from your angle. So that means if you cannot see a letter C, if your thumb is collapsed, that means you're using a lot, or you're holding with too much strength. So you remember the exercise, the wiggle exercise. Always loosen, relax, okay, without lots of pressure, and then try it again. So I'll use my bow here to show you this. Your hand needs to be straight, so you don't want your wrist, I'll pull my sweater back a bit. So you don't want your wrist looking like this or collapsed like this. Do you notice I got tape on my cello? I'll just remove it. So you don't want your wrist shaped like that or collapsed like that. You want your wrist straight. So it's kind of like you're giving your cello a very stiff hug throughout. Okay, so ideally when you're starting from the A, and then it kind of progresses this way as you move towards the C. So this is it's a really good exercise to try. Okay, and then as you can see, I'm still maintaining my letter C, and my fingers are spaced out. If you're finding it difficult to get the letter C, try holding a bottle of water or a glass of water. Let me get one for you. So I have my bottle of water. Like normally how you hold your bottle of water or a glass of water, you're pretty much holding it in cello how your fingers need to be when you're playing the cello. It's even when I do it with my right hand, I'm not even trying to when I just pick it up, I'm already there. The only thing you do is just space it out a little bit. But ideally, if you can see, my thumb is right in the middle of your first and second finger. So I'll do it with my left hand. So it's right in the middle of your first and second finger, or with your second finger if you're finding it hard. So ideally this letter C is what we are, this letter C right here is what we're looking for. How you can exercise how to get this position. Now this is our first position. What you can do is try and release your hand and hold, say, string A, and try and get to that position. Do this a couple of times without even looking and seeing if you're getting to that position. And also, if your hand is straight, make sure to do this exercise on all the strings because the hand feels differently. So it's okay if you get it wrong a couple of times. It's normal, it takes practice, and then eventually when you get used to it, it just comes. Okay? And then once you land on the string, press down the string. Okay? So we'll do it on G string as well. So string G a couple of times. Do this in front of the mirror. I find it easier than looking. So if you want to look, it's fine for a start. It's just that eventually you need to learn how not to look. So you need to be able to do this a couple of times without looking, and then landing and then seeing if you actually landed in the same position. So do that for string C, and also keep checking if your hand is straight. You can use your bow, take advantage of your bow and check if your hand is straight. And then of course press down on the string. It's important to press down on the string because once you start playing, you have to really press down on the strings, and they all feel different because the thicker the string, the more you kind of need a little bit more energy to press down, and then it just gets easier when the thinner the string gets. Okay?